Well, President Trump has officially returned from Scotland. I was worried, okay? It was touch and go. It was dicey for a minute. I thought we were going to lose him, okay? I thought he was going to want to stay over at Scotland because it's much cooler than it is here in the United States right now in the summer. It is scorching hot across the US. If you're watching this right now, you probably know it's hot as hell. But President Trump, he seemed to be living his best life, okay? Everywhere he went, there were men in kilts with bagpipes and they're serenading him with this Scotland Highland music. It was incredible, okay? I had the honor of going to Scotland in 2018, the privilege of going to Scotland. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It was a little bit cold and windy, of course, but we actually went to Stornoway, where President Trump's mother, Mary McLeod Trump, is from. And in fact, this golf course, the McLeod course, is named after his mother, who he loves and holds dear. But while he was over in the UK, okay, with the kilts and the bagpipes and the pomp and the circumstance, he also secured one of the most historic trade deals we've ever had in American global history. Let me read you a little bit about this trade deal. So the EU will purchase $750 billion of US energy and make new investments of $600 billion in the United States, all by 2028. The European Union will pay the US a tariff rate of 15%. Okay, Trump went over there, art of the deal. The man came in with a wrecking ball and said, give me what I want, and he got what he wanted, okay? He got what he wanted, and I want to read you a little bit more about this trade deal, okay? This deal will enable U.S. farmers, ranchers, fishermen, and manufacturers to increase U.S. exports, expand business opportunities, and help reduce the goods trade deficit with the European Union. So all of this is amazing. Okay, the liberal media, they said he's going over there to golf. He's going over there to open his course. One thing about President Trump, he will come off that golf course, okay, and sign one of the most historic trade deals in global history, okay? So if being on the golf course gives him some clarity and gets him in the zone to go and secure the best deal for us, I'm happy about it. I'm also a little bit jealous because, you know, I love men in kilts and I love bagpipes. Where is my invitation? But no, on a real note, I couldn't be happier about this trade deal. One thing about President Trump, I think because this is his last term, he has nothing to lose. He's coming in and saying, give my people, okay, the 300 million Americans I'm here to represent, the best deal for them. And I think President Trump is also thinking about legacy, right? President Trump has to be thinking about the fact that he has a legacy, right? He's going to be a legacy president, a transformational president, and I couldn't be happier that he secured this incredible trade deal. But something else I want to mention about the trip, right? There was a clip I saw of him taking pictures and interacting with the workers at his property. And I've been to several Trump properties, okay? I've been to Trump Tower, I've been all over. Everyone at his properties, they revere him, they love him, they all have nothing but good things to say about him. And many of these workers, if you go to Trump Tower, right, if you eat at the grill or the restaurant in the lobby of Trump Tower, these folks have worked there for decades, okay? They have nothing but incredible things to say about President Trump. I was at dinner the other night and folks were talking about the fact that he treats his workers incredibly well. So to see him with the workers and the way they respect him and the way he respects them, I love that. And that's a side of President Trump a lot of people don't get to see. Another side of President Trump I loved from the trip was Grandpa Trump, okay? A lot of people don't get to see this side of President Trump because he's this fierce negotiator. He's this guy who stands up with blood dripping down his face and he says, fight, 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 because he has to be that way. He has to be that way to take on the establishment, and politics is a blood sport, literally and figuratively at times. And so to see President Trump and the way he loves his grandkids and his children and the fact that they're all winners, that warms my heart. And it's something I know a lot of you guys love to see as well. And we spoke about this in the last episode. There's such a stark contrast between President Trump and the way he is with his kids and how his kids comport themselves and his grandkids, and the Biden family we had the last 4 years who basically turned the White House into a cesspool with cocaine left behind and topless trans folks out on the lawn. So to see President Trump with his young kids going back to the White House really warms my heart. It's something I love to see. And I think this trip to Scotland was a success, okay? This trip to Scotland could not have been more of a success. And something that I found hilarious that I know a lot of you guys pointed out online, President Trump will go to other folks' countries, right? And he will have those world leaders come to him at his own properties, okay? That is when you know you have the upper hand in a negotiation. When they come to you at your castle, that is a boss move, okay? When you're like, you know what? Meet me at my castle with my name on it, with my bagpipe players and my men in kilts, and then we'll talk about the deal, Keir Starmer, okay? We'll talk about the deal, Starmer, when you show up at my doorstep, and then we can talk. I might even let you hitch a ride to the other castle, but you gotta show up at my property first. And so I think President Trump, I could not be happier that he secured this deal, and it's going to help generations to come because we have been ripped off by the world for so long. We've been ripped off and ripped off and ripped off. And I know many of you are tired of seeing your job shipped overseas, especially with the increase in AI. We need to be prioritizing American workers, and that's something President Trump really cares about and that he seems to be doing.